What if you could have a death clock on your wrist? This is the Garmin Fenix 7S Pro, and here I have the two most important metrics for life expectancy. The first one is the resting heart rate, which is not the most important one, but the second most important. The most important one for cardiovascular health is VO2 max. This is the Garmin running estimate based on the last run in which I hit the criteria. I think it's 70% of also Garmin estimated heart rate max for at least 10 minutes, and then the Garmin running VO2 max updates. The left one is the resting heart rate for the last 7 days. Unfortunately, this is not a yearly average, which I otherwise would prefer. Now, here we don't need... So in terms of VO2 max, there is no need for an average because it's VO2 max. And of course now it updates every now and then, but if it does not update in the frequency that Garmin thinks is useful, then eventually I think it does not show, or I don't know what happens then. In terms of the resting heart rate, therefore, it makes sense to take an average, as the optimum value is not the maximum value. But in this case, the minimum value, but since this changes all the time, I think it makes sense to take an average. Now, apart from these two, there is also another metric, which I figured out is actually quite useful, which is Garmin's endurance score. The main problem of the VO2 max estimate is that it updates only every couple of runs, and so it is not a very, let's say, system incentivizing. I think for this reason Garmin made a different metric, which in the short term provides more incentive to actually do something. Let's say it's another run, or maybe going out again, or maybe going on a hike. And this is Garmin's endurance score. Now, when it actually was a little bit higher, so my max is around 7.5K, until I then had a few problems with the watches, and so now I'm ideally working myself up again until 7.5K. Now, what's quite useful, I think, about this, if I make a very conservative approach, and let's say my remaining health span, or let's say my total health span is about 50 years. So I define health span for myself as a state in which I don't have major things preventing me, so major health things preventing me from doing the things I want to do. So let's say I'm at 80% of the capacity of my peak. Let's say that's 25 or something like this. So now I can calculate the remaining days basically until basically my 50th birthday, and then there actually was quite a little bit of an overlap with this number. So I'm just taking this number basically as my remaining health span in days, obviously.